Welcome friends to another r/MaliciousCompliance video. If you don't mind helping out, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. That said, our first story of the day is by long-suffering squid, turning a molehill into a mountain. There's 4 primary types of participant in my industry: manufacturers, vendors, buying consortiums, and patients. I work for a manufacturer, Widgets, Inc. We sell to vendors who in turn sell to patients. The consortiums work out deals with us for our products and pass those products and savings on to specific vendors for a piece of the action. I take a call from a patient, Monsieur Miserable. This is unusual, as very rarely will we, the manufacturer, deal directly with patients. They're supposed to go through their vendor or provider who then contacts us. M. Miserable is having a big problem with the new widgets we made for him. They're not working properly and appear to be defective. This is definitely our fault and something that's pretty easily resolved, but it has to go through the proper channels. We can't issue M. Miserable new widgets directly, so I advise him to go back and talk to his provider, Dr. Schmuck. It turns out that Dr. Schmuck has been singularly unhelpful. He's been telling the patient that he, Dr. Schmuck, can't do anything without the approval of the consortium the widgets were purchased through, True Bluff. He's lying. This is an easy fix for us. M. Miserable has gotten in touch with True Bluff. True Bluff tells the patient they've been in contact with us, Widgets Inc., and that we're making them jump through hoops to resolve this. They're lying. They haven't. And again, this is an easy fix for us. True Bluff is also pointing the blame back at Dr. Schmuck. M. Miserable is disgusted and angry with a lot of us. But he really liked his widgets until they stopped working, so he wants to give us a chance to make it right. I tell M. Miserable that this is an easy fix, but for legal reasons, I can't work directly with him. That he must go through a licensed vendor like Dr. Schmuck. M. Miserable tells me that they, Dr. Schmuck and True Bluff, gave him our phone number and told him that we, Widgets Incorporated, would take care of the problem for him. Oh, did they now? See, patients aren't supposed to have this phone number. This number's for vendors and consortiums to call on. I'd been thinking that M. Miserable was a spillover from the consumer relations line. Nope. M. Miserable called us directly, and when Dr. Schmuck and True Bluff said that Widgets Incorporated would take care of the problem, what they meant was they'll cover for our screw-up. They're basically throwing us under the bus, since they think there's no way that we can resolve the situation ourselves. They've taken a simple and easy problem and turned it into a catastrophe they've dumped in my lap. But sure, I know how to take care of the problem. Evil grin. Well, M. Miserable, it sounds to me like Dr. Schmuck and True Bluff are the problem. Now, there's a very simple and easy way to fix this, but for legal reasons, I can't process it for you directly. The request has to be submitted to us by a licensed provider. For ethical reasons, I can't tell you what you should do, but I can tell you what you can do. You can, if you like, go back to Dr. Schmuck and True Bluff and ask them to submit to me a request to process this again. Very simple and easy fix. Or alternatively, I have a list here of other providers in your area. If you prefer, you can return your existing widgets to Dr. Schmuck for credit, go to one of these other providers, and tell them that you want to order duplicates of your widgets and that you do not want to work with True Bluff. I'm terribly sorry for the trouble. We at Widgets Incorporated want to make sure you get the right widgets for you. I'm not sure why Dr. Schmuck and True Bluff would be giving you such a hard time. Would you like a list of the other providers? Oh, you would? Wonderful, here's the list. Oh, and thank you for letting us know about the situation with Dr. Schmuck and True Bluff. We appreciate the feedback. You have a better day now. Click. Was I laying it on a bit thick? Absolutely, but I took care of the problem. I hope Dr. Schmuck and True Bluff appreciated my solution. If you found yourself in a position like OP where a customer manages to break through the loop, somebody that needs help, whether it's medical or just insurance related, and you have a solution that could help them, but you're not really supposed to give them that help, would you do a little Mr. Incredible type moment and give them that help anyways? You know, that technicality where like, I'm afraid there's nothing I can do, but you could, blah 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 blah, and give them all the steps to get exactly what they need? Let me know if you would hesitate to take that chance in the comments down below. Our next story is by The Valley's Slowest Mile of My Life. Growing up, my siblings and I went to a private Baptist school. Our parents wanted to keep us from the world's evil influence. It did not work, as I'm sure 99% of the people who attend those types of schools know what actually goes on in those environments. Anyway, once a year, we went to what was called Regional Student Convention, aka Regionals. This was a big fine arts competition between other schools like ours in the region. People from Arizona, New Mexico, Kansas, and Texas came to one spot somewhat in the middle to compete, so they could move on to the International Student Convention, which is obviously for other schools around the world. Our school didn't go to the internationals, but took regionals pretty seriously. There are over 100 fine art categories you can sign up for. Our teachers required at least 7, but no more than 12, I believe. The categories included photography, acting, writing, color guard, some sports, singing, art and track and field, to name a few. I would try my best to do the most allotted categories since my parents took the week of regionals off and liked to see us perform. I would do photography, sewing, research projects, multiple singing groups, some play type things, and I played on the volleyball team. All of these were picked because I wanted to do them. I wanted the week to be fun for myself and my family. One year, the teacher in charge decided to micromanage everything about this week. They decided they were going to tell everyone what they were doing instead of letting us pick ourselves. The teacher decided one sport activity was not enough and wanted me to sign up for a track and field event. I told them I didn't want to do it as I'd done it in the past and did not win and ended up exhausted the whole rest of the day as I didn't ever train at all for the events. Our school was a church building that they could convert to the school on Sunday nights, so no grounds for such a thing. Track and field happened on a Tuesday morning, and then after lunch it was time to do the singing competitions. It made for a miserable day for me. The teacher didn't care and decided I would be running the timed 1-mile run. They could have easily made me do something less exhausting like the 100-meter dash, but more people signed up for that than they did the mile, so by their logic, we had a better chance at a medal. Most teachers that take students to these competitions want to receive a plaque of achievement for that category, so they try to get as many people to participate so the plaque can hang in the school hallway. The teacher did not care that I requested not to do this and told me, "You will sign up for it. Even if you walk the whole mile, you will participate." I replied with "Yes, ma'am," and filled out the required paperwork. I'm sure you can see where this is going. The day of the competition comes and we're all warming up waiting for our events. The teachers were all out there cheering us on as well as all the other students who were not competing. That part's fun, just hanging out with your friends. Our school didn't take it too seriously. We didn't have any training or anything, so it was just a morning spent on the grass for us. After a while, it's time for the female mile, and I was all smiles. The teacher asked if I was ready, and I replied, "Are you ready?" They had no idea what they were in for. I lined up with all my fellow competitors and waited for the gun to go off. Once off, I did a little jog and, of course, everyone rushed past me. Then I walked. I walked the entire mile, which if you don't know is 4 times around a track field. There was so much confusion and many people came up to me thinking I was hurt. I replied to them all, "I'm fine, just doing what my teacher told me to," with a smile and a wave. The officials were confused, the other competitors were confused, even my parents were confused. I turned what would have been a 10 to 20 minute event into a 35-minute event, which is a lot of time considering they couldn't start anything else until the female mile completed, so everything was at a standstill because of me. I eventually finished, and my judge didn't even give me my completed time since it was so ridiculous. I did finish in 6th place since there were only 5 other competitors, so I still got a medal. Woohoo for me! When I tell you the principal of our school was mad, I mean if he was a cartoon there would be steam coming out of his whole body. He was silently screaming at me, telling me how much I embarrassed him, the school, myself, and most importantly, God. I very calmly explained, I only participated like my teacher told me to. I know that nothing happened to the teacher for making me do that event, but I was never forced to sign up for anything I didn't want to again. Yeah, let's take this great event where people can do all kinds of things that they would have fun doing and just suck the whole fun out of it for every single kid. You want to do singing? Well, you better give that up. You're gonna run the mile, Billy. What's that, Susie? You want to act? Well, you better be prepared to hop some hurdles instead. Need I go on? Our next story is by Lord Dam, Delusions of Grandeur. I worked as a lettings agent for a year and a half after leaving the police, and always joked with clients that I chose the job because I'm used to being hated. I was smashing it out, highest figures in my office and the region for months at a time. Was I a hard seller? No, I would legit say, guys, I'm not going to patronize you. You know what a toilet is. Take a look around, I'll be here. It worked. Anyway, the sales agent was lazy as freak and couldn't be bothered, so I started to sell properties too. I shouldn't have done, but the company was losing business because of this guy. I asked for a promotion to the sales team and got called to see the managing director. He basically gave me a huge telling off, saying it wasn't my place to sell properties when I'm a lettings and rental agent. He even said I had delusions of grandeur, and if I thought I was too good for the job, to leave. I handed in my month's notice the next day and accepted an offer from a competitor that had been trying to pinch me for months. Better pay, less hours, higher commission. I'd only stayed out of a sense of loyalty. HR put me on paid leave because they were scared I was going to steal landlords. According to my friend, who still worked there, the branch's figures practically vanished overnight. Needless to say, know your workforce. If you're going to be a managing director, you should want to be able to break down and know who's really hustling for you. Honestly, it kind of blows my mind that a company that was selling properties and having lettings and rental agents, that they didn't have some kind of proper metrics in place that show who's doing what, who's the top performer, and keeping track of that stuff so they know, hey, this person is really slinging some sales around. You just willingly let your superstar go when you could have just acknowledged their worth and retained them. Our next story is by Jay Jeppinen. Don't proofread, just print. Many years ago, I worked as an admin assistant in a small tech-like company. We would import radars, etc. for government agencies, as well as install and provide user training. One of the techs was pretty unpleasant and loved telling everyone he was the sole breadwinner of the company, refusing to acknowledge the team effort of actually winning the jobs and sending invoices and paying his wages being completed by others. He wrote a user manual for some new equipment and had me print and bind multiple copies ready for user training. He was running very late and left me little time to do it, but I thought I would take a moment to quickly check formatting, spelling, and grammar before printing. Except he berated me and told me not to overthink it, just do what I was instructed to. Fine, no editing by me. Didn't touch a thing except print. I wish I could have seen the faces of the tech and the trainees when they got to the last few pages of the manual with the system shutdown procedures, and found it told them to sugar honey iced tea down the system. No, don't need a proofread. As somebody that on any chatting platform, whether it's Snapchat or Discord or really anywhere, even Twitter, as somebody who proofreads 3, 4, 5 times before I hit send on every message, I admire the confidence of somebody that goes, nah, just print it, don't need to proofread, don't worry, I got it. And our final story of the day is by YDev. Company won't give raise to an underpaid employee. Not my story, but happened to a coworker. I know this because we were all really close and knew each other's numbers, even though it was against company policy to share salary details with coworkers. Yes, it's perfectly legal to have policies in my country. I had a coworker, let's call him A, who was lowballed pretty bad fresh out of college. A was earning around 40% less than other coworkers of similar experience, including me. Apparently, the HR promised them a big raise after the probation period without giving anything in writing. As you'd expect, they refused to give him more than a 5% raise after a year. I should mention that given the nature of the industry and skill level of people in our cohorts, it's fairly easy to get a new job if you get fired. So with our agreement, he brought up the point that he's way underpaid compared to any of his coworkers and he knows the numbers. Again, our manager said that they won't give any raise unless he has a counteroffer or he's free to leave anytime. Now malicious compliance. This guy started applying for jobs left and right and got a couple of offers. Both almost double his current salary. Turns out his manager was bluffing all along and had to give him a 110% raise to get him to stay, which meant that we all also knew what they can offer and threatened to leave unless they give us a better offer. Ultimately, they had to give all of us 30 to 40% raises to match the other guy's offer without any counteroffers for ourselves. Within 6 months of this, most of us, including A, left the company for better pay and benefits. Well, I guess that's the risk you take by trying to underpay the people that work for you, right? You might be able to skate by with it for a while, but once they figure out it's going to spread like wildfire, and impressively, they were still trying to keep it lower than apparently what the competition would have offered. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.